What's going on, guys? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. A few days ago, we got to see Devonta Smith sign his contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. 3-year deal, $75 million, $25 million a season. And this just furthers the questions as to what's going to happen with Jaylen Waddle in his contract, what the Miami Dolphins going to decide to do with Jaylen Waddle. Because this is a decision that the Dolphins should make sooner rather than later, as the wide receiver market is only going to get stronger. There's only going to be more money given out to wide receivers that we've seen with contracts in recent years. So one way or another, the Miami Dolphins have to make a decision with Jaylen Waddle, and they started that decision by picking up his fifth-year option on the rookie deal that he has, being drafted in the first round. Him as well as Jalen Phillips being drafted together in the first round a few years ago. They will both be staying that fifth year with the Miami Dolphins. However, there does need to be a long-term decision made for Jaylen Waddle. So you look at what Devonta Smith got, 3-year, $75 million deal. If that's anything to go based on, and if the Dolphins don't get the deal done this year, you're probably looking at a little bit more for Jaylen Waddle than you did with Devonta Smith. That just seems to happen in the NFL. When one guy gets paid, the next guy to get paid just gets a little bit more. Just pushes that needle a little bit more when it comes to negotiations time, where you can say, hey, look, this is what my client has done, and this is what this guy is getting paid. And you look at Devonta Smith and Jaylen Waddle since they both entered the league, and it's almost identical stats. You look at Jaylen Waddle, 251 catches, 3,400 yards, 19 touchdowns. You look at Devonta Smith, 240 catches, 3,100 yards, and 19 touchdowns. Almost the exact same stat line between the two guys. Both of them very productive. Both are not necessarily the wide receiver ones on their team. However, once those wide receiver ones move on, and down here in Miami, we're looking more likely to move on from Tyreek Hill at some point than the Philadelphia Eagles are with A.J. Brown. However, they're not those number one guys, but both teams probably believe that Devonta Smith and Jaylen Waddle can then step up to be the number one guys in their offenses. And the Eagles' situation is even more comparable because of what I just mentioned. You have Tyreek Hill, you have A.J. Brown, two receivers that are already making top dollar. Tyreek Hill obviously being paid the most in the entire NFL at the wide receiver position, averaging about $30 million per season. And then A.J. Brown is also making $25 million a year. So there's a lot of people that think that the Miami Dolphins can't afford to have both Devonta Smith, not Devonta Smith, the Dolphins can't have Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill on the same on the team at the same time with those massive contract extensions. Right here, what we see with the Philadelphia Eagles, that's just simply not the case. You can have Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, as well as their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, being signed to a massive long-term extension that's amongst the top in the entire NFL, and still find a way to get these guys paid. Now, what happens beyond this season, because we know just because contracts are signed long-term, that doesn't always mean that guys end up staying long-term. You often guys see guys get traded after the first or second years in their contract if they don't live up to it, or just because the money is tight. However, at the very least for now, they have 3 players under contract that are earning top dollar, not necessarily starting next year, which is another reason why the Eagles can do this. But the Dolphins are in the same exact situation. We have Jaylen Waddle that has 2 more seasons that he's going to be making his rookie deal, and then that extension finally kicks in after those couple of years. So what could this contract extension eventually look like for Jaylen Waddle? And it's going to be pricey. It's going to be north of $25 million if he continues to play like he has. The injuries from last season are a bit of a concern. Missed a lot of games, was clearly not healthy even in some of the games he played towards the end of the stretch last year. But if the contract does not get signed this year, I imagine you're looking closer to a $27 million contract. I don't think he's going to get more than Tyreek Hill. I don't know who is. You're probably looking at CD Lamb when he gets his extension. You're looking at Justin Jefferson when he gets his extension. However, you're way more likely, I think, to see a $27 million deal per season, which would equate to $81 million over 3 years. And that is also a decision that Jaylen Waddle has to make, whether he wants to get the security of a more long-term contract, which sometimes you see guys take 5-year deals with a little bit less money, but you have that more guaranteed money. You have more money that you know you're going to be bringing in, as opposed to what Devonta Smith has done, where he's betting on himself to continue to get better, to continue to stay healthy, only signed a 3-year deal, which if I'm not mistaken, he'll be 25 years old at the end of his rookie deal, 24 or 25 years old, but I believe 25 years old at the end of his rookie deal. He then signs that 3-year deal, comes off of it at 28, and still has another opportunity to make top dollar. Now, that's a good example of betting on yourself. If he gets hurt, he won't see that next contract be anywhere near as high. However, if he continues on the trajectory that he's playing on today, you could go from that $25 million contract to 30, 35, depending on whatever the market is at that point. If you're looking at for Jaylen Waddle, if he does go a little bit more long term, you're looking at a $108 million deal over 4 years, and you're looking at a $135 million deal over 5 years. So the Miami Dolphins are going to have to open up the checkbook one way or another for Jaylen Waddle. And they are going to have to do this with a few other younger guys on rookie contracts like Jaylen Waddle, like Jaelan Phillips, who they already picked up his 5th-year option. Jaylen Waddle, obviously, he does not have a 5th-year option, being that he was a second-round deal. So Jaylen Waddle's decision is going to have to be made even sooner, and we'll see when that happens. Of the three, I assume that Jaylen Waddle will be the one that gets his contract done first. That's just the way the NFL is going with the wide receiver position. Jaelan Phillips also coming off of an injured season, but his injury is a little bit more significant. So I don't think the Dolphins would be as keen to get that deal done. They feel the need to have to get it done today. But Waddle is a deal that I'd like to see the Miami Dolphins get done sooner rather than later. We also know that Tua's deal is going to be coming up here sometime soon. The Dolphins have already said they're not drafting a quarterback earlier on in the first round. So they made that decision, but the talks for Tua and his contract are still very much ongoing. If there's any news about that, we'll let you all know over here. As for Jaylen Waddle, still hasn't got that contract. It's got to be coming up here very soon if it's going to be this offseason. You don't want something like that going on into training camp if the decision is going to be made to make him a Dolphin for another 3, 4, 5 years this year. If not, if you put that decision down the line, you're adding a little bit more M's on top of it, probably $3 million on top of it as other guys get extensions. Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, like I've already mentioned. I still think it's the right decision to get him signed, get his extension done, but it's going to cost the Miami Dolphins definitely some money. It can be done. The Eagles are doing it right now. They're going to have to make some decisions eventually on some of the guys they're paying. But as for now, they've got those guys all under contract with their extensions, and they seem to be doing pretty good. So let us know down below in the comments, what do you think of this potential money for Jaylen Waddle? Like I said, probably looking at $27 million over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. If it's 5 years, 135, 4 years, $108 million, $81 million for a 3-year deal. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of this amount of money for Jaylen Waddle. Do the injuries concern you? Do you think the Miami Dolphins should be a little bit more hesitant to give him a long-term contract extension because of these injuries? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, let me know what you think about Tua's contract. What do you think Tua should be making? Let me know down below. Let us know all your thoughts and any potential ideas y'all have, especially for the draft. Meant to cover the draft a little bit more this week. Obviously, that didn't happen. It is what it is. Thank y'all very much for watching. Get down there, hit that sub button, hit that like button. Y'all know what to do. Have a great rest of your day. Go Dolphins.